Hi everyone, this is Curtis. It's April 2014 and I want to describe some of the stuff that Vicki and I have. Here's a photograph of the Guggenheim Museum that we took a number of years ago and made a couple prints of it, and we think it's pretty good. And now we're going to transition into a photograph that we call Ghost Ships that I took while I was delivering mail along the Ballard Ship Canal on a foggy day. Mom and I went down to California and we took a couple of pictures of some of the missions down along the coastline of California, and this is them. And then I guess this is a yucca plant from that era. This is the desk and the clock. The desk is something that we'd like Heather to have after we're gone. It's a reproduction that we found that was very, very nice, and we bought it for the Yellow House at one time. And there it is. And the little things, the clocks. Oh, here's the table that we bought also for the Yellow House. The chairs came from Jean and Marion, my parents. I'm going to refer to them from now on as Jean for the most part. This is another reproduction of a mission-style buffet that we bought for the house, the Yellow House, and now we're carrying it around to Vermont, and now I'm here in Mill Creek. The three pictures were by Jean's mother, Lucille, and we put them in the frame. And that's a Toby jug, a miniature Toby jug. A couple of really nice plates that we bought. These came from Jean also. They're trivets and molds, and they just make nice decorations. And I guess they're old. See, the irons used to sit on that. This is what we use for our recycling, and when we had the brick house, I built this, and that's punched copper. That's a picture of me when I was about 5 years old, and my grandmother, Lucille, Dad's mother, painted, hand-touched that. And of course that is, that martini spoken here was Mom and Dad's motto back in Sag Harbor. Great cocktail drinkers. We found this old plywood tray. It's a very early pressed plywood, and in the back it says GE on it, and so it was a kind of an experimental thing, and we had it restored, and it looks really cool. Here's a painting. It's by Stuart Silver, who went to Pratt with Craig, and it's a painting of the boats from the bridge in Sag Harbor, looking down on the boats there, and it's very Sag Harbor feeling to me when I see it. And then these are some pictures that Jean passed on to me. The top is by Utrillo, and evidently it was a print that he did hand color and sign, but I don't think it's worth anything. And then below that is a nice old print of a early fire engine. But just kind of stuff, nice stuff to have around. The little ferry was made by Jean's brother Martin many years ago. At one time it was part of a lamp, and he had painted the shade of the lamp to look like the skyline of San Francisco from the 1940s. Dad came back. He was, during World War II, he was a merchant mariner, and he traveled back and forth to Europe carrying supplies and some Dutch shoes. This is a nice little tea set that Mom found at an antique mall, and it's Clarice clipped, and actually it's pretty valuable, and it was quite a find. Mom was very pleased to find that. The left is a jelly jar. Lucille hand-painted that. That was back in the early part of the 1900s when ladies were expected to sit around and do crafts. And then this set, tea set Mom found that she really likes. Old bottles that came from Sag Harbor, probably found in Uncle Martin, Jean's brother, and his wife Jane sent Mom and me this for our wedding in 1968. It's from Gump's, and it's a cloisonne. It's kind of nice. Here's another lamp from Jean that I can't remember the name. It's a prominent name, but it's a nice lamp, and probably worth something. Back in Sag Harbor when I was a kid, in the attic there were all kinds of treasures, and that little boat was one of the things that I really liked. This is a little clay sculpture that I did when I was in high school, and it's about the only thing that survived from my art days. Dad really liked it, so he kept it. Everything else they threw away, but he saved that. And this is from my high school days, actually, also. It's a bench that I made in shop class. And the wooden plate on top of it we found in the brick house. When we first moved into the brick house, there were still some treasures to be found, and that was one of them. And the mirror and the clock also came from Jean. The clock has a name inside. I don't know if it's worth anything, but it's a nice old clock, and it does work, although for some reason it stopped working. But I think it's a pretty easy repair. And there it is again. The table it's sitting on was one of grandmother's, Lucille's. This is the settle, and there's a real long story about the settle. It was found by Dad when he was still working in New York City, delivering linens. He was a linen driver. And he found this in someone's backyard and loved it. Dad made a friend back in the Sag Harbor days, and these are all pictures from those Sag Harbor days, including a picture of the house that Mom and I got married in, called the Van Scoy House on Main Street. The picture above it was by Cappy Amundsen, a painting by Cappy Amundsen. The one to the right was a painting by Harry John Brown, who was an old friend of ours and conductor of the Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra. And the two prints on the left were given to me by Arthur Barron, an antique dealer, and I helped him with some schlepping sometime. This is by Stephanie Kalin Rhodes, Craig's first wife. She went to the San Francisco Art Institute, which kind of inspired me to go to the San Francisco Art Institute as well. And Stephanie's just a very sweet lady and always been a great friend of the family. This is another craft thing that grandmother did, needlepoint, back in the early part of the 1900s when ladies were expected to do things like that. A great old friend of the family in Sag Harbor, Alex Brooke, one of his sketches. And he also did a portrait of Kit that Kit has at his house. And you'll see a picture by his wife, Gina, coming up, but they were really, really nice to us kids. A couple of prints that Mom and I bought. There's Lucille, Elinette, Arendt, Rhodes, Sperling, Jackson, and taken in 1900 when she was 18. She was born in 1882, and Heather and Jennifer remember her very well, I think, because she lived to be way into her 90s. The little glass came from Riverhead, up near Sag Harbor. It was a glass works, and Dad liked to go up there and poke around, and he picked that up, and we've had it for a long time. There's that picture by Gina. It's a gouache, and she painted it in Spain, and it's olive groves over a village, as you can see. So I guess that's kind of it. There are a few other things that we missed, but there's the brief rundown of some of our stuff.